Hello, welcome back to the L1 show. It's the start of the week. It's March 26th, and we have a special interlude before the start of the regular show.
I don't know if we even have room.
That's government and other random news, but somebody sent us a box. Mac
Security.
Drew.
Yeah. Also, Wendell and I have matched shirts for the second time this week, or second time in 2 weeks.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna put this.
So there's a letter, and it's just kind of generically complimentary. Thank you, Mac Drew. Mac Drew hangs out in the Twitch chat, so we know Mac Drew. But here's my thoughts, right? I believe this was searched.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would he include the?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or why would he go to the trouble?
Or is he messing with us?
Or is he trying to poison us?
Stay tuned to find out.
It is a great value Ziploc bag. Did our tax dollars pay for a great value Ziploc bag?
Walmart.
The government can't.
It's not even the zip top.
Can't even go Ziploc.
This is apparently Mac Drew's appeal to have us not send California into the ocean.
I think these are California-centric snacks, right? So
Is Ghirardelli based in California?
maybe.
I do like Ghirardelli.
Apparently.
It's a good chocolate. I've had it before. And we got some sweet maple walnuts.
Well, I do love walnuts.
That's a good snack.
150 calories, 4 servings per container. So 600 calories in this bag.
Nuts are a calorie-dense food. And then we got the same kind with just some Himalayan pink salt.
Ooh.
Oh.
Sounds delicious. Oh,
He's trying to give you kidney stones. Is
No
what he's trying
processed
to
You know
say.
what? I've eaten trail mix 2 weeks in a row, and I feel the kidney kiss. It's not good.
Almost 800 calories in these.
Now this sounds
I
amazing.
might snag a bag of these for my next hike.
Oh, salted dark chocolate walnuts? Wow, they really are.
I guess maybe Blue Diamond is in Northern California.
That should say, right? It's on the package, I'm sure.
I'm getting the feeling Mac Drew is a walnut baron.
Ooh.
Still got vegetable oil in them.
Walnuts, organic
Why
coconut.
would you put vegetable oil in that food?
At Diamond of California. So, yeah, it's California.
Now, I do love these Blue Diamond dusted. I don't know if I've had sweet Thai chili, but the habanero is amazing.
I'm not going to eat one of these right now because I don't have anything to drink with it, but that sounds like that'd be good.
Elote? Mexican-style street corn?
Excuse me? Like in Nacho Libre. Nacho.
And then peppermint cocoa?
Nuts? Oh, that ain't right. That's not right.
We got some things to try on the stream.
This must have been a Christmas item.
It definitely looks like it. It's got a very, like, Christmassy.
It's March. How long have those been in stock in the store?
It's good till July 25.
I mean, it's nuts. Yeah, I can't imagine that being.
And then he mentioned in the letter that he was worried about your food restrictions, which clearly you're not too concerned about.
Wendell immediate. We were like, these could be poison. And Wendell's like, all right.
I can have a little bit of stuff.
So can you have jelly beans?
Yeah, I'm sure I can have jelly beans. Wow. There are 45 servings per container, 110 calories per serving.
You're really focusing in on that. Is that like something you're hyper aware of these days?
I'm trying to exercise and be good.
See, I'm always like now where I'm like doing the hikes and stuff. I'm like, what is something that's low weight with high calorie? I'm the opposite.
Well, dark chocolate walnut.
Yeah. I might
Crusties.
steal a bag of these.
Do you want to leave those displayed on the table or rebox
Yeah,
them?
no, we can leave them. It's fine.
We were just bragging about how we haven't spilt any drinks or anything on this table just yet, or on the carpet. But I'm feeling a little scared.
1 square of chocolate may have been too much.
It looks like
You're gonna be hyped up.
there may have been tape on all of this at one point.
Oh yeah, it was definitely
Just tampered with.
it had definitely been retaped when it got here. I'm not sure if the tape disintegrated or what.
So, pro tip, if you're sending drugs from California to the East Coast, don't use, how do you pronounce this?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli?
That's how I've always pronounced it. I actually don't know.
Well, first of all, tell us how to pronounce that word, but don't use that trick to try to send your drugs through the mail.
They're apparently wise to that.
Yeah, and they're looking.
Do you think they took any? Do you think they took one of the chocolates?
The temptation would be high, but that is a risk to reward is really weighted toward risk in that scenario.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what, a quarter worth of chocolate treat at retail, not even wholesale?
Mint raspberry, intense dark, and milk chocolate caramel.
Okay.
The raspberry's good.
Sounds fantastic. It's so big. look how many flavors.
Yeah, that was always the thing. Jelly Belly was one of the first websites where you could just, every day they would give away like 10 packs. And so whenever they would reset the timer, you could show up and be like, please send me Jelly Belly. And they would be like, okay.
They've got a lot of licensing in here. A&W Cream Soda, Dr. Pepper, Sunkissed.
Oh, and you could have orange soda again, but in a very tiny
It's got
vessel.
tangerine. I don't know if they've got orange.
I've
Oh,
had-
yeah, Sunkissed orange.
I've had a splash of, like I've tried orange soda and I've tried like a Sonic stuff. And I couldn't even finish the Sonic.
How's that chocolate?
That was pretty good. Doesn't taste at all like I remember, but it was overly sweet. Like it's so sweet that my mouth is still puckering.
That's how all candies are.
You probably would like the darker, just like straight dark chocolate a little better.
Get the bitter in there to cut
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I do occasionally have a dark, like a single dark chocolate square after dinner, and it's just like it's crazy how everything's different.
Well, everything is different for you, but things continue on in the government the way they always have. But we do have some decisions that have been a long time coming, so let's look at them.
Supreme Court tosses ruling on public officials' social media blockings. And so you might be thinking, aha, public officials can't block people. No, the Supreme Court tossed 2 cases that ruled opposite ways. So they're saying, here's the test that you have to do, and that is, are they using the social media account for their job or something that they're in their capacity to do?
Is it the account or the post that was responded to?
That's a good question. I took it as the account, but it could be interpreted as the post based on what they said.
I guess if it's a block, then it would have to be the whole account, right?
Usually, I
Not
think.
necessarily on Facebook. You could just delete the reply because that's what happened here.
Can you delete replies on Facebook?
According to that, anyway.
So we don't know yet. The appeals courts will re-rule now that they have the instructions from the Supreme Court, which seems like just beating this horse into paste. But what are we going to do? Apparently not load CNN.com.
Yeah.
And this has been coming for a long time. It's been hinted at. It's secret whisperings in Washington, and now it's come to pass.
Apple sued in a landmark iPhone monopoly lawsuit. Man, this entire episode could be about this lawsuit. So it's pretty detailed. It goes into the DOJ really does cover a lot of ground, but the ground that they cover, I fear, is so haphazard that this may cement Apple's monopoly in some ways because they're really bringing up a lot of stuff. And some of it is probably okay, like normal business operation stuff, and some of it is probably insane, just over the top, like Apple should be punished things. It gets into the minutia of how like an Apple Watch is allowed to do things that a Samsung or a Garmin watch is not allowed to do. But then it also does big picture things like, it's weird you can load applications on a Mac, but not an iPhone.
Obviously, if this is successful, the EU will immediately follow suit.
Yeah.
Every country will. So this is bad news for Apple for sure. I suspect they've seen this coming, though. They're probably
Amazing
prepared
that
for
we
it.
beat the EU to the punch.
Yeah. Well, Apple is, even just basic things. There's a lot of stuff in their lawsuit I don't think they did a good enough job with because, like, a web application, like the performance of WebGL in Safari is compromised when you're running just the Safari browser or you try to install it as an application. And you look at what Apple did for the DMA. They're like, we're going to GIMP PWAs even more so that you can't install an application. And it's like, that would have been a perfectly reasonable way to kind of sort of have a third-party app store. It's like, you could just install web technologies. And then when that actually started getting good, Apple said, let's not do this.
You know what being reasonable is not good for? Monopolies.
I miss the days when technology companies would make products that, are better. Like, let's focus on making a better product. There was a time that might have been true for Apple, but it's been a long time since that was their only motivation.
Well, I don't know that there's ever been a time when that was true for the U.S. broadband companies.
Motivation to make a better product?
Right. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, they've only really, if we're going to call them broadband, it's not been around for that long, and those companies were corrupt long before that ever happened. So once again, we have the government stepping in to give them rules that They'll probably sidestep.
The the Reuters headline is U.S. broadband providers to begin providing new comparison labels. So they got some quotes in here from the Verizon guy saying, I guess it's going to be easier for people to compare plans and make sure they match. But
also, because this is going to make prices, like our prices are complex, and this dumbs them down so much that we might just not show you the price anymore.
It's also true that this was a voluntary program since 2016, and I can't think of any good examples of this in the wild.
And one aspect of this is the pricing, which got its own little sort of carve out.
Cable and satellite providers are now required to disclose all-in pricing under new rules passed by the FCC. So basically, when they say it's $20, it better be $20. There's no extra fees or anything like that, because there's a lot of hidden fees.
And they really don't like that rule. Really don't like it, because they make a lot of money from that.
Good, they should suffer.
And if you were wondering where the White House stands on the old social media TikTok ban thing, they've made it quite clear by giving basically instructions to their underlings.
The White House urges Senate to move swiftly on TikTok bill as lawmakers drag their heels. But can we, I would be fine if the TikTok bill equally curtailed with the awful things that Apple and Google and Microsoft
Every
and Amazon,
social media company.
Yeah, I mean,
it won't do that.
Also, the credit card companies, also the GM, General Motors, like what they're doing with your car telemetry, all of those companies, all of that, we need to get a handle on that yesterday.
That should be criminal.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny with the stories that we did. Would you say that your car or TikTok is more invasive?
Yes.
Yeah, well, the car for sure. Because TikTok, I don't need TikTok to function in my society.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Car. You know, I looked into, we got a story about that. I don't know if it's in this episode, but I looked into opting out of LexisNexis. You're allowed to opt out, but only if you're a politician or a cop. Isn't that interesting?
Weird how that works.
And I bet all of these Supreme Court justices are opted out. Of course they would be, right? And they are once again weighing in on another hot topic, this time having to do with all the misinformation that was spread by the White House.
U.S. Supreme Court seems wary of curbing U.S. government contacts with social media platforms. You should read this because it talks a lot about how there's a chilling effect on disfavored speech. You can't talk about certain things on large social media platforms. For example, if we say certain things,
there's a lot of words we could say.
Bad things happen.
This channel will be unalived.
Now, they're not arguing that they didn't do it. They did it. There's ample proof that they did it. Their argument is we weren't really pressuring. Well, we were pressuring, but we weren't commanding. And we should be allowed to pressure. Is that true? Is that what the executive branch of the government should be up to?
Maybe you're okay to pressure people, doing videos of recipes from the Anarchist Cookbook. Probably not okay to do that with three bozos talking about links on the internet.
Well, I mean, the Supreme Court wasn't specifically looking at us. I'd like to think that they were.
They're actually here right now watching this episode.
But
they're going to send us a package.
But here's the thing. Here's where we bring it all full circle. If I were to, in plain language, tell you what it was about, this video would be demonetized immediately. And a little thing would pop up under it for extra information to make sure that you don't get any misinformation from us.
You should go read the case and see the ground truth of it.
And here is it's something that we've known has been a problem for a long time. Recently, there's been a little bit of activity, some of it kind of just people being dumb, but it's an election year, and we need people to be terrified.
Disabling cyber attacks are hitting critical U.S. water systems, the White House warns. So public utilities are ran like a public utility. They don't spend enough money on their computers or infrastructure. More things are on the internet than should be on the internet, and adversaries would love to cause havoc with any kind of public utility, water, electricity. But also, not just that, but converting public utilities like water into a much more profitable venture, like electricity, has been happening over the last 5-10 years in America. Water is next. And so the profit margins will go up like 7,000%. Natural gas in the UK, profit margin went up 900%. That's coming. And so this kind of thing is sort of priming the pump to be, oh, water's going to cost a lot more because of this. And it's like, well, there's mismanagement, but there's also, they just want to make more money.
One thing was a default password. So, yeah, I mean,
Basic security.
Does investing money or being worried about it help with that? That's just some idiot. The other one was a display that got hijacked. To display, I think, like an anti-war message about what's going on over there. And the concerning one was the one where they were like, they discovered something and they were like, wait a minute, the Chinese have just been observing us for the last 4 years.
I don't like that.
That's the one you got to worry about.
It is amazing. So there's actually a water treatment place not far from where I live, and I walk past it on my walks a lot. Like, it would be trivial for me to just walk in there.
I mean, they probably got some cameras.
I mean, they have a fence, but like, it's not.
Also, the neighbors would dime you out so quickly.
That's
They'd be like,
true.
Oh, that's the girl who walks.
That's we've seen her with her backpack
We know
on.
where she is. And if you're a big investor, you want to gamble. Actually, it's already happened now. But maybe your gamble could be affected by this if the decision goes the wrong way. So maybe be cautious.
FTC launches inquiry into Reddit's AI deals ahead of IPO.
So if you'll recall, Reddit is going to take all of the content on Reddit and sell it to OpenAI to train. Well, it was OpenAI, right?
Yes.
And they're just going to train the next language model. That means your posts on Reddit, historically, will go into the language model. Will that drive people away? Is it illegal? You posted it never knowing that such a thing could possibly happen, right?
I'm sure it's in the terms of service that Reddit can do that.
Oh, yeah.
That just means Reddit's going to go down the toilet, though, because it'll be used to fuel bots.
And this one's a kind of a common scam, I guess. This is a bit of an easy dunk, maybe, for the FTC, but we needed it, I suppose.
The FTC goes undercover against fake antivirus companies.
So it's you've gone. Maybe you click a bad link or something happens. It's pop up. It's like, oh, you're infected. Click here. Don't click there.
Click anywhere but there.
It's actually a scam. And they pointed out that the FTC went undercover, and as soon as you click that link, it gives you a phone number. It's like, oh, you should call and talk to it. Get a free consultation. And then they upsell you. And like they'd show you other websites to try to trick you into thinking that, yes, you're infected.
Fabulous.
And this is an interesting one because this shows rampant government corruption. Blatantly, the judge called it exactly what it was, but nobody went to prison.
The SEC hit with sanctions for its gross abuse of power in the debt box case. The SEC initially concealed it misled the court. Debt box did not seem like super amazing in this, though.
But they were not guilty of what they were accused of. They had their accounts seized and all sorts of stuff. They were shut down, and it was all fake. It was all based on false information from these SEC agents. And they knew that it was false when they did it.
That seems bad.
Those people are in charge of our markets. And this is an unusual one because usually this is a Tesla story. But now all the car companies are getting involved with this.
The AP headline is U.S. to investigate Texas fatal crash that may have involved Ford partially automated driving system. The article then goes on to use a lot of words to describe that Ford is looking into it, and we're not 100% sure the automated driving system was active, and we'll get back to you.
This was somebody parked on a major highway with no lights on, just sitting there. And they got rear-ended. But was the Ford Auto Cruise turned on at the time? That's the question. And Intel, we learned, were turned down by the Pentagon. They weren't going to give them their waterfall of free money. But don't worry, because the backup waterfall was still there. And in fact, they now have gotten it.
Intel awarded up to $8.5 billion in CHIPS Act grants with billions more in loans available at a favorable interest rate. It's so weird. Like this, like reading this, it was like, this seems okay. This doesn't seem bad. And then I got to the end of it and I was like, wait a minute. The last time we did a bailout like this, the federal government got at least stock. Like they got stock that they agreed not to sell, that they would just hold. And that actually, we made back most of the money that we granted when we did this in like 2009. There's no stock here. Intel didn't have to give any stock.
But Intel's not in distress.
Well,
They don't need to be rescued. This is just we desperately want chip fabrication.
all the more reason to get stock and not,
Not just give them money
yeah.
with nothing in return so far, but a promise of we'll totally get those chips to you.
Yeah.
But China is giving their businesses free money. And here's one in our backyard. We have the number one Amazon hub right here in the beautiful Bluegrass. They maybe don't treat the workers the way that they should there.
Amazon violated workers' rights in a crucial air hub, labor regulators allege.
What are they alleging? Well, if you were to try to advocate for this kind of thing publicly, they would come and like basically abduct you in the middle of your shift and take you to an HR trailer and question you. They
Slap you around a little.
cut your hours. It didn't get to that point, but they made it very clear that you shouldn't be doing stuff like
Hit
that.
you with a pillowcase full of batteries.
What was the mascot? I can't remember the mascot. It was something like the blue thing. And it's like somebody comes out wearing a suit with that, and it's like, I heard you're trying to get organized.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like the "Don't be depressed" Amazon mascot? I can't
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that story. What it was? It was
The,
distressing to look at.
You take 10 seconds to think happy thoughts.
I remember that one, but there was another one with like
Right. You're talking about the
yeah,
the
they had like a
PowerPoint
mascot,
slides.
but I can't remember what it was.
Don't worry, the robots are coming for your job first.
It had a weird name because it was just like, we're strange at Amazon, and this means strange.
Yeah, it's like ugh.
And we have a new trend in big tech companies where the local laws go against them, and they're just like, all right, we're done. See ya.
Lyft and Uber cease operations in Minneapolis after a new minimum wage law. That minimum wage, $15.57. Uber and Lyft said, no, we can't do that. If you're going to classify our people for that, we can't guarantee they're going to make $15 an hour.
And we can't make money if we do it that way.
They can't make enough money, is what they're saying.
I'm pretty sure that an Uber or Lyft type application could be sneezed out by a precocious teenager at this point.
Well, those teenagers might have a lot more time on their hands in Texas because of this.
The Hill's reporting that adult websites have been disabling themselves in Texas after the Attorney General sues for not verifying users' ages.
Now, that doesn't mean the little pop-up that says, confirm that you're 18, click yes. No, that is a government-issued ID on file. The worst security risk that you can make. Disgusting. And isn't it interesting, and I have to admit I've never sat and thought about this, but like we say that TikTok cannot be allowed because it's exfiltrating data to China and Chinese people have total control over it. But every other social media, almost every other social media company is based in the U.S. And that's true about the U.S.
After TikTok, EU is going to scrutinize U.S.-based social media apps for data privacy, safeguards, and safeguards against AI.
Sounds good.
So the EU it was like, wait a minute, the U.S. is upset about this, but for EU citizens, the same thing is happening.
For 99% of social media companies, they're the China in that equation. So that makes sense. Now, they do have the whole like data exfiltration thing, but do any of us believe that that's really stopping them from...
Well, we reported a year or two ago that, Meta, in order to be compliant with EU laws, was going to have to, like if you were in Ireland, it was going to have to store the Ireland Facebook on Ireland servers so the data never really left Ireland. But how true can that really be?
Well, the EU's been doing a lot with the tech companies, and as you mentioned with Apple, like the ways that they satisfy those requirements are so petulant and half-assed, and they don't really solve anything. And I think the EU has sort of communicated, it's like, guys, this ain't going to work. Facebook and Instagram have gotten the news, and they're trying to pare back a little bit more, but to give as little ground as they have to.
Facebook and Instagram may cut fees by nearly 50% in a scramble for DMA compliance. So,
going from $9.99 a month to $5.99 a month, which is not 50%. But it's a nearly, I suppose. That also maybe speaks to the fact that the EU people are like, $10 a month for Facebook?
No thanks.
$10 a month just so I can message grandma?
Message grandma and look at weird things on the marketplace. Not worth it.
There's other places to do that. And AI consumes all. and it will continue to consume all, and they'll continue to pay these fines because it's worth it, because AI, once it has consumed all, will return their money.
Google hit with $270 million in fines in France as authority finds a news publisher's data was used for Gemini, their AI project.
Now, they got that weird relationship in France with the news people where they're like, we know that you're going out of business and that you're dinosaurs and you're all going to die, but we use you for propaganda, so we want to prop you up. And that's what this is all about. And when it comes to like everything Meta owns sharing all the data, countries don't like that, and they're cracking down.
The Reuters headline is, Turkey moves against Meta over Threads Instagram data sharing. But I would argue that Turkey has found a loophole from which to extract cash from Meta. Because Threads and Instagram having the same login and like, yeah. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not a Meta sympathizer here, but I think Turkey's stretching a bit.
To be fair, Meta has figured out how to extract money from the Turkish people.
Have they, though?
So, yeah, targeted advertising.
Yeah.
Stealing their data, selling it. Now,
Speaking
Krista,
of stealing data,
Krista, what is your interpretation of the market video?
my interpretation of that, I don't know if I believe that one either. Why are we getting so many videos that are like, I've seen better footage of Bigfoot at this point.
Right. The Sasquatch comparison has been made a lot. It was very difficult to tell who those people were.
Yeah, and also someone pointed out that there's like holiday lights in the background, which implies that it might be Christmas.
Oh. Plus, that market exists on the grounds of the royal ownership, right?
I'm not sure. This is embarrassing, but I looked it up on Google Maps to see if those sheds were still there, and they were not in the summer picture from Google Maps.
But
Street View.
My point is, no one reacted in the video.
The local, yeah.
So maybe they're just used to it.
Yeah, I guess. But it's weird that no one else took a picture or a video.
But the question is still out there, right? No, I don't buy it at all. And clearly I'm not alone, because some people are going to great lengths to try to find out what's really happening with Kate.
Mid Kate frenzy, hospital responds to Catherine's reported medical records breach.
This is Kate Middleton, the future Queen of England.
Actually, it's Kate Windsor.
Supposedly she had some sort of abdominal surgery.
Well, that's not in dispute.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, I think that seems legit,
but
but they don't know what it is, and so people are so worked up. People are trying to steal her records.
And the hospital leaked something about like that she had an abdominal surgery or something, which is more than they were supposed to.
I think, didn't the family announce that?
They did. They said that she would be gone for a while. But what's weird is like she's not appeared anywhere,
But
not even in like a photo, really.
Well, the farmer's market. But someone at this medical facility who had credentials at the medical facility was found to be trying to access her records.
3 people.
3 people. Wow.
Yeah. They were working together. Not a lot of brain cells probably in that group, but
We don't even have medical record systems in America to give you that level of alerting.
Well, Facebook does. OpenAI does. And speaking of artificial intelligence, more and more countries are throwing money at it. Here's a big number.
Saudi Arabia plans a $40 billion push into artificial intelligence, the New York Times reports. And there were some Saudi Arabian companies at GTC, yes, for sure.
They're partnering up with some venture capital folks. So if you're trying to get some funding, might be a bit of a cash flow coming your way. And India has a very hot and cold relationship with the tech companies, and it really is week to week. So today,
that has to be terrifying if you work in the country under like one of these tech companies.
yeah, you get the good news, you get the bad news. So here's the really terrifying news.
India drops plan to require approval for AI model launches.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is the walk back. I read that wrong.
So they wanted to vet all of the AI models before they launch in India, and then somebody pointed out that would be ridiculous, and then they said, oh, wait, never mind.
So now they have some rules that are very vague, which means that if they don't like it, then they'll be able to come after you, but you don't have to actually go through the process of getting regulated, which is maybe worse because you never really know.
Here's what you can't do or we'll come after you. Okay.
But they have added some safeguards to make sure that the worst possible thing that they can think of can't happen in that scenario.
India will fact check online posts about government matters. They have such an excellent track record of this. I can't imagine that there would be any chilling effects from this whatsoever.
It also puts one government agency in charge of all this, which is an insane amount of power. And in the past, there have been some accusations of corruption in the Indian government.
It's so weird.
And that would really enable corruption.
Didn't they murder some people? We're not supposed to talk about that, right?
Certainly not anymore. And they also made some rules that were clearly too far. And some people, they got the phone call. They got the tap on the shoulder. And it was like, listen, come on. This doesn't happen.
The Reuters headline is How the U.S. Lobbied New Delhi to Reverse Its Laptop Rules.
The first part of that headline is India screwed up.
India screwed up. Now, we covered this story when it happened. It's like, I guess it's going to be domestically produced laptops, which, with Apple moving some of their production there. Okay, maybe. Yeah, they walked that back too because somebody pointed out, no.
Yeah, we're going to give you the old Texas P-Hub treatment if you mess with us here. You won't like it. It won't be good for your economy. And this was an interesting one when I saw it because it was a mystery. And it was like, so Ethereum had a warrant canary. And they're like, we've never been contacted by a government or a state entity about X, Y, and Z. And that disappeared. What did it mean? Well, now the mystery's been solved.
Ethereum Foundation faces inquiry from a government. Fortune says the SEC is investigating Ethereum.
They want it to be a security.
They clearly have never messed up before or even just lied about what was going on.
It to do with cryptocurrency directly.
You think we would just go on the internet and tell lies?
Not even on the internet. In the public record.
Yeah.
Like official documents.
And then they got caught red-handed when it turned out that the people operating the crypto thing weren't as criminal as they thought.
And here we go. This is the Nothing Burger of the Week. The critical words here, non-binding. Why do we waste our time? How much money do you think went into this?
A lot. UN adopts first global artificial intelligence resolution. It's non-binding. Basically, don't make AI that kills people. Please.
And everyone feels so good about themselves for a week after the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't like these people that have no concept of the paperclip maximizer. Like the thing, like if I don't believe that what the doomers think is going to happen will happen, but if what the doomers think will happen happens, it's going to be you go to an AI and you make paperclips. I want you to make paperclips as efficiently as you can, and it says okay, and then it uses its billion IQ galaxy brain, and it's like, if literally all life on Earth is dead, I will be able to make more paper clips. And so it does.
Well, one thing, we don't know that that's going to happen, but one thing that we do know from the past that we've learned is speculative caching has a trade-off in security. And so when Apple designed the new M1 chip, guess what they didn't pay attention to?
Unpatchable vulnerability in Apple chip leaks secret encryption keys. Finally, those rooms and rooms and rooms of locked MacBooks will finally be unlockable and not go to the landfill. This is a win. But also Apple and security, I mean, come on. We see what, like, the intelligence organizations see iPhones as a wet paper bag of security. So is anybody really surprised by this? But it's nice that it's democratized, that we'll all have access to all our devices soon.
That's such a glass half full way of looking at it.
Well, it's always been the illusion of security, right?
Yeah.
We've never really had security. Just wait long enough and it's all broken. And you can think about that the next time that you're traveling.
Hackers found a way to open any of 3 million keycard locks at hotels. Be sure to use your lock chain.
So this was during the, what's the name of the Las Vegas hacking conference? DEF CON.
Oh.
This was at DEF CON, and the dude was like, I'll hack the door to my room. And they figured it out. So the only requirement here is you have to get an existing key because this is a company that makes all these locks and deploys them. So it's like a,
That seems
monolithic.
safe. Yeah. A
But
monopoly.
they add a code that is the property code for your specific hotel. You have to be able to pull that off the card. And you have to have an RFID reader. But after you do that, they won't give the details, but it sounds like they're putting it into like an administrative maintenance mode or something and immediately rewriting it with their new key.
What a horrible weekend to be in Las Vegas by accident.
Oh, yeah. And it's in the past, it's always been the same week as the AVN Awards.
No.
Now, AT&T says that this is not true. They didn't lose anything. But the people at Bleeping Computer did some spot checking of the records, and everybody they found was an AT&T customer.
AT&T says leaked data of 70 million people is not from its systems. And yet, the evidence suggests that that is not true. Somebody also suggested that these may be DirecTV or legacy DirecTV customers, including customers who stopped subscribing to DirecTV before the AT&T acquisition.
You don't think that they would keep those records, do you?
Just from now until the end of time, they might.
No, never. What point? Why would they ever need those?
Must hoard all the data.
And another giant tech company breach. These are just... They come every week. It's never going to stop.
Yeah.
Tech giant Fujitsu says it was hacked and warns of a data breach. Aww.
I wish, we gloss over them, but it's just so commonplace now. What more is there to talk about?
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening. Now, if you are an esports fan, I guess Apex Legends is a big one.
I think it has been for a while.
It's hot, yeah.
We played it once or twice.
Yeah.
And
you were the robot, right?
Yeah.
This must have been one of the highest tournaments because they talked about two of these guys were the most popular Apexers in the world, and that's probably why they were targeted.
Apex Legends hacker said he hacked tournament games for fun. This is the one where people were freaking out saying that their computer was maybe running arbitrary software or...
Well, they literally, one guy was playing, and he just put his hands up, and he's like, there's an aimbot here. I know that I didn't just shoot that guy over there, but I just shot that guy over there. And one guy... Literally, you could see it on the screen, wall hacks just started.
Blatant, yeah.
And so they found the guy somehow, and he was like, yeah, I did that.
No denial, just...
And there's not really, because these guys clearly weren't in on it. They weren't trying to pretend that it wasn't happening, and they had to stop the whole thing. So it's why would you do that? Well,
wasted a lot of money on a tournament, didn't they?
And this is a follow-up. Wendell talked about it earlier, but the whole LexisNexis thing, man, I'm so angry about that. I'm furious.
You have to take a rage nap after you read this.
And I'm looking at, you can pull the OnStar module and, disconnect it from the radio, but then it might mess with, your Bluetooth and stuff, which is...
Florida man sues General Motors and LexisNexis over the sale of his Cadillac data. So this is the guy we reported on last week. He has filed suit. I hope he wins. This will be amazing. It turned out that all of his driving record, all of it, everywhere he'd been, literally everything, you could just buy from LexisNexis.
And they conveniently point out any kind of bad driving, like hard braking or hard acceleration. Now, if that makes you angry, I just want to reiterate that the spying that happens to you is exempted if they want to opt out for politicians and cops. Think about that.
Do you know who I am?
And over in Ethiopia, someone made a very expensive mistake. This is one of those, you get the phone call and just your stomach just drops out and you're like, oh, I got to find a new career.
Commercial Bank of Ethiopia glitch that lets customers withdraw millions of dollars or millions of Ethiopian currency.
This happened at 1 a.m. local time.
Oh.
So nobody was paying attention. It spread like a wildfire through the college campuses. There was lines around the block for the ATMs.
Ooh.
And time and dates are surprisingly difficult to get right in programming, but you should really work hard at it because if you get it wrong, these kinds of things can happen.
Safety cam daylight savings glitch proves costly for truckie. Is truckie a word?
It's those Australian slang words that
just
they
not
insist
even
on
real.
using in their headlines. So this was a series of tolls, and you just drive through them with the auto pass or fast pass, whatever they call it in Australia. And somehow this person went back in time before they hit the last one. Now, the system is built to catch that, but they assume that it's trucker fraud at the time. So it took 6 months, I think, for this to shake out.
Before it probably got to a real human being.
It's like, you went too fast. You sped, and there's something going on. It's like, no.
Well, no, it's not that you went too... Well, maybe if you went too fast to go back in time.
Like Superman.
Tell us what you know.
Apparently, some people in the past have tried manipulating things to beat this somehow. And flock. Did we get our flock cameras here? I haven't noticed them.
I don't know, but I did see a story about that a while back locally.
Set to get them, which is very disappointing. I'm very disappointed in our local leadership because it's a scam. If you don't know about flock, they pay local law enforcement and sometimes local businesses to run these cameras, which is a total invasion, but it lowers crime, right?
Let's talk about the flock study that says it solves crime. And then you start peeling back the layers here, and it's like, wait a minute, this is all just marketing fluff. There's nothing here.
Well, who wrote the paper that said that flock reduces crime? Turns out it was two guys at Flock. But there are two guys with names in the industry who are also on the paper. This is an interview with one of them who was saying like, yeah, they brought me in at the end and I had some questions about how they were doing it, but it was already done, so I just signed it.
Wow.
Also, this thing with Flock like is really good at finding cars that need to be repossessed, which is very lucrative.
Yeah. Well, not only is repossessing cars lucrative, but selling that data is very lucrative. And guess who buys it? The government and the cops. Makes their jobs real easy. But this makes their jobs hard. And it's a horrible thing. And I don't know what the solution is, but I hate it.
New details emerge in swatting incident at Berea schools, and the FBI is involved.
Another story right here in the bluegrass.
Follow up, I didn't include the story. It happened 3 more times this week after this.
Multiple
so people
schools.
were like, oh, we can stop school? Okay. Let's do that every day.
One of them was an elementary school, too. How awful is that?
And they point out that they took everybody out of the school and took them to a church. How big is that church?
That might be one of the bigger ones around here. I was surprised they didn't just send people home.
Can you imagine the bathroom in that church after that?
Oh. There were probably some grannies around there who were real excited. They're like, let's get some food going. Let's get a potluck.
Remember that time they closed school and gave all the kids biscuits? Those kids are going to have a lifetime of memories.
Yeah, they're going to go home and their parents are going to give them McDonald's and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't food.
This isn't anywhere near
Where's
as
the
good.
biscuit and gravy? All right. Stay tuned if you're a Patreon subscriber or a Floatplane subscriber for an hour-long video of us just chewing these nuts.
That's a lie.
Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Oh, I've lost the mouse cursor.
Oh, awkward.
It's a constant
You've made it
struggle.
worse.
It's gone.
Bye.